Hey folks, what's up? Roland Martin here. So it is Saturday morning, October 5th. Just finished dropping off my wife Jackie to the airport. She's headed to Tyler Perry, of course, has his studio grand opening this weekend. She'll be there tonight. I have to give a speech tonight in Baltimore at the first Civil Rights Week, the Civil Rights Gala in Baltimore tonight. It's been on my books for months, so I have to be there. I'll fly to Atlanta tomorrow morning for the gospel brunch, the Tyler studio, and then I'll be able to take a tour. So it's going to be crazy. Wish I could be there tonight, but I can't. But I just had a few thoughts, and this has really been. I've been engaged in some conversations with some folks for the past, really this week, but really for the past 48 hours. And if this was a speech, I would title what I'm about to say, "The Tip of the Spear." The tip of the spear. You've heard me talk a lot about the power of media. You've heard me talk a lot about the importance of the media. I've often said this, and I have said this for years. If you want to understand the power of media, you must understand that media has the ability to build people up and to bring them down. It was media, the reporting in media, that brought down Richard Nixon. It was media put Donald Trump on this pedestal as this great businessman, this unbelievable mind, this rich individual that gave him this platform that vaulted him into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. When you think about the media and the power of the media, anytime there is a coup somewhere in the world, the first thing they get control of are the guns. That is the military. That's the first thing. But the second thing is not the banks, it's not the ports, it's not the airports, it's the media. That is, they take control of the television stations, the radio stations, the airwaves, and now they focus on the internet. Why is that? Because that's how people receive their information. When we talk about the future of Black America, we cannot have a discussion about the future of Black America if we do not confront the reality on the independence of its Black media. Let me say that again. We cannot talk about the future of Black America if we do not confront the reality on the state of Black-owned media, because that is the tip of the spear. Let me unpack that. If you saw the PBS documentary that was done on the Black press, it was titled "Soldiers Without Swords." Soldiers without swords, meaning in this battle, in this war for civil rights, you needed to have soldiers in this battle, and they used the pen as opposed to swords or guns. Power of media. If you read Gerald Horne's book, on Claude Barnett and the rise and fall of the Associated Negro Press and the Jim Crow paradox, you will understand what I'm talking about. If you read the book The Lonely Warrior on Robert Abbott, you will understand what I'm talking about. If you read John H. Johnson's book, you will understand what I am talking about. The role of black media. We can talk about the nation's first newspaper, Freedom's Journal, 1827. We can talk about Frederick Douglass's The North Star. We can talk about Ida B. Wells Barnett. We could talk about the Chicago Defender, the Pittsburgh Courier, the Atlanta Daily World. We can talk about the plethora of black newspapers in St. Louis, in Philadelphia, in Houston, in Dallas, in North Carolina, in South Carolina. We can go on and on and on and on and on talking about these black news outlets. Why? Because it was their reporting that spoke to the issues of concern for black people. It was the powerful writing of Wendell Smith and Sam Lacey and others that exposed and embarrassed Major League Baseball when it came to keeping black folks out of Major League Baseball. It was the black press that was able to be used to highlight all of the things that were happening in black America that were being ignored by white daily newspapers and then television. We could go on and on. When you talk about, if you read the book The Beat, that won the Pulitzer Prize, talking about the role of media in the civil rights movement, they credit the black press for going places and doing stories long before Newsweek and Time and the New York Times and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution showed up. What I am trying to lay out to you is that there can be, listen to me clearly, people, there cannot be a future for black America that does not include a substantive, significant black-owned media. I did not say black-targeted media. I said black-owned media because that speaks to the intention of those when it comes to reporting the news. It speaks to the value system of those who are reporting the news, which also means that we cannot allow those publications to wither on the vine and to be frozen out of the massive, the multi-billion-dollar economic pie that exists in the advertising community. Let me explain to you what is going on right now in the advertising community. These companies or really these ad agencies are saying, you know what, we don't need to buy black radio or black television or black websites because we can do a general market buy and we'll get them anyway. Y'all hear what I just said? We don't need to buy them. We don't need to buy the black networks because we'll just spend our money on ABC, NBC, CBS, on TNT, on TBS, on ESPN. We'll spend our money on these mainstream networks because we'll be able to get the black consumer because they'll be watching these shows. So we don't need to spend the money over here without the advertising dollars. Then these black media companies don't have the same ability to grow and prosper and to hire staff and increase their programming. Do you see how these things are interrelated? Which means that if we are not financially supporting our institutions, then the two sources of revenue for black-owned media are non-existent. That is self-sufficiency, subscriptions, our dollars, and then the advertising dollars. Let me repeat that. There are two sources of revenue: subscriptions and advertising dollars. How was the Chicago Defender able to be this powerful black newspaper in the face of Jim Crow? Because African Americans bought it with their pennies and their nickels and their quarters. That's how. Self-sufficiency. So they were not wholly independent upon advertising. So now what happens? If you then say, we're not going to support black-owned media, then that means what you now have done is you have left black-owned media to survive in a world where they have to receive only those advertising dollars, which means that if an advertiser says, I don't like your content, then I'm not going to advertise. They now are at their mercy. Now, why did I say a tip of the spear? Because the reason we have been able to advance is because the power of black media, the ability to tell our own story. Lee editorial, Freedom's Journal, again, March 1827. Quote, we wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. What does that mean? What does it say? Quote, we wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. If it wasn't for black newspapers talking about segregation in the military, Harry Truman would never been able to sign, never would have signed that executive order in 1948, ending segregation in the armed forces. It would not have happened. If you didn't have black media pushing and prodding, you would not have seen the demands of activists when it comes to opening department stores and hotels and restaurants and all of those different things that happened with the advance of the black freedom movement. The success and the rise in black people, breaking down barriers, went hand in hand with the independence and the power of black-owned media. If you read Dr. King's book, Chaos or Community, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? He said in his book that there are 4 institutions that are critical to the success of black people being free and gaining independence. Of those 4, one of them was the black press, which Dr. King wrote in 1967. In that book, he said that they must be able to maintain their militance. Listen to me. King said their militance when it comes to representing black people. I need y'all to understand what I just said. He said their militance, which meant that you need black-owned media to be fierce advocates for black people. That means you need a media source that is speaking to ensuring that the economic walls are torn down that limit black folks, which means you need black-owned media talking about banks and redlining, talking about why African Americans are not receiving a portion or significant portion of the pension funds of the federal government, of the 50 state governments in this country, of the counties and the cities and the states. What it means is, who are those bondholders? Who are those bankers? Who are all those individuals? How are you able to do that? If you read Depp's book on Operation Breadbasket, he talked about how when they struck these MOUs and these agreements, they went to these companies. They talked about, of course, taking those dollars and investing those dollars in black banking institutions. What MLK was talking about, what A. Philip Randolph always understood. A. Philip Randolph could not have done what he did with the Pullman Porters if he did not have the success of black newspapers. And in fact, A. Philip Randolph had his own black newspaper that served that purpose. The problem that we have today is that we have far too many African Americans today who did not grow up with black newspapers in their households. And so their understanding of the value is missing. Their understanding of the value is missing. When you talk to old black folks in Chicago, they understood what the Chicago Defender meant. It was something personal. Y'all need to understand. I need y'all to understand. I took over the Chicago Defender in 2004. And I cannot tell you what was said to me by these old black folks who said that I was then being in an institution, a crown jewel was being placed in my hands, and I was to regard it with care. They understood how that paper was used as the tip of the spear in the battle for black freedom. I hope y'all understand now why I made the decision a long time ago not to be solely focused on mainstream media. I need y'all to understand that I turned down an internship with CBS News in Dallas in order to work at the Houston Defender. The Dallas internship was not going to be paid. I think I got paid $250 a month from the Houston Defender. But the value of what I was able to write, but also to witness in terms of the publisher Sansir Messiah Giles, was the importance of being able to see this black-owned publication do what the Freedom Journal said, plead our own cause. Running the Dallas Weekly, working for the Dallas Examiner, running the Houston Defender, becoming the news editor of Savoy Magazine, being the founding editor of BlackAmericaWeb.com, working with, writing for Ebony Magazine, writing for Essence Magazine, all of these folks, I've had more than a dozen black media experiences. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that this is real. This battle that we are in is real. If we do not have independent black-owned media, we will not be in control of our destiny. We will literally be asking somebody else for permission in order to tell our story. We'll be asking somebody else to use their voice and their power to be militant in demanding we have access to the economic corridors in this country. You don't have to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, but you damn well better understand why I'm doing it. You better understand why I'm pushing folks to support what we do and join our fan club, RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Bring your advertising dollars, but also just bring your $50. I said to y'all, 20,000 people, not just black, but 20,000 people who give an average of $50 a year, $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That will completely fund what we do to be independent. That means that if you've got a strong, viable black newspaper where you are, you must support them with your subscription. If you've got black magazines, you must support them. If you've got a black website that's doing the work, you must support them. Folks, what I'm trying to explain to you is we will rue the day if we do not have independent black-owned media. We will rue the day that we do not control our own narrative. And I'm telling you, we will look back and say, what the hell happened is because too many of us got comfortable and fell asleep and didn't do what our ancestors did. The future of black America depends on what we do today. So do it. Tip of the spear. you support Black-owned media. Make it happen. When you're in a war, you need warriors. You need soldiers without swords. You need people who are willing to fight. And that's what Black-owned media has always been. This is a battle, and we better understand it. All right? Y'all take care.